All right, 2.2, sum and difference of cubes. So we're going to factor, now this may not be one you've seen before unless you're in another class this year, but factoring using the sum or difference of cubes is something that you learn in this class. So first thing, just like we did yesterday with the difference of perfect squares, is we need to discuss what a cube is. So just like a squared is anything times itself, okay? So you multiply something times itself, you get a perfect square. A perfect cube is it goes 3 times. Okay, so this is a square. So a perfect cube, you multiply times itself 3 times. So 1 is a perfect cube because it's 1 times 1 times 1. The exact same thing 3 times, and you multiply it all together, and it's a perfect cube regardless of what it is. So 4 times 4 times 4, 64. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So the number that you're multiplying by itself is what we call the cube root. So one of these guys, so the cubed root, we write it like this, of 125 is 5 because we multiplied 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, the cubed root of 216 is 6 because it's 6 times 6 times 6. Okay, and then 7, 8, 9. Okay, so generally these, generally from 1 to 216 are what you're responsible for, but if you can remember those, it'd probably be a good idea. You can do it in your calculator to figure it out if they are perfect cubes, and we'll discuss that, I guess, tomorrow. Okay, is a variable a perfect cube? Remember, it's anything times itself. So if I take x and I multiply it times itself 3 times, I get x to the third. If I take x squared 3 times, I get x to the 6th. 3 times x cubed, remember you add the exponents when you multiply, so you get x to the 9th, and so on. So hopefully you notice, if we look over here, I know there's some questions, what do you know about the variables of the exponents? Hopefully you notice they're all divisible by 3. Okay, so if you have an exponent that's divisible by 3, that means we can break it up into 3 of the exact same thing. So that's why it's a perfect cube. Okay, what do you know about its cubed root? Its cubed root is just one of those things. So if you take 15 and you divide it by 3, the cubed root is x to the 5th. Okay, because it's x to the 5th 3 times. Okay, you divide exponent by 3. So what is the cube root of this guy? The cubed root of x to the 18th is x to the 6th because it's 18 divided by 3 is x to the 6th, x to the 6th, x to the 6th. Add the exponents, you get x to the 18th. I even wrote that up there. Okay. So the formula, and truthfully, it's best just to have the formula. You're welcome to multiply. This is a proof. Multiply this out to see that it is equal to that, but I think we just did it on the test the other day, so maybe it was that one that was on the test. So you can see that this is this does work. Okay, when factoring the sum and difference of cubes, what you have to remember, there's a few things, but the one thing that's sometimes hardest to remember is the signs that are here. And what we use is we use what the acronym called SOAP. Okay, so see how this is a plus sign? We do same, opposite, always positive. So same goes here. This one is the opposite sign, so it's the opposite of whatever this one was, it's the opposite of that. And this one is always positive. Okay, so that's where we get the SOAP from. Same, opposite, always positive. So when you're doing sum and difference of cubes, the signs, we're going to figure out how to get the numbers and the terms there, but the signs are same, opposite, always positive. Okay, so here, that's negative. Okay, so this is same as whatever that is. This is opposite, and that's always positive every time. So when if you wanted to multiply them out to check them, everything kind of cancels out in our boxes. So how do we figure out the numbers? So you know in the end, it's like it's two sets of parentheses, but one is little and one is big. So Missy Tori always says what big, maybe she says big cheek, little cheek. Maybe she uses the B word, but I won't use that in a video. Okay, so this is a little one and there's a big one. Okay, because one's a binomial and one's a trinomial. Okay. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to look at these two terms. Okay, and when you look at those two terms, you have to figure out what's the cubed root of all of those things. So what's the cubed root of A? The cubed root of A to the third, excuse me, is A. So that goes there. Okay, and so it's basically saying what did I cube to get to A cubed? And here, what is the cubed root of 27? Well, that's 3, because it's 3 times 3 times 3. Look above if you need it. Okay, so these two are just the cubed roots of those numbers. Okay, then the rest of this mess, the rest of the numbers written here, use these two numbers. Okay, so this first spot is this one squared. Okay, then the last spot, excuse me, the last spot is this one squared. And then the middle one, you just simply multiply them together. Okay, and then we do our SOAP. Same, opposite, always positive. And we're done. So we do this, it's the same thing over and over, so let's just check it out. When we do a minus, it's no different. Excuse me. We kind of ignore this, kind of ignore the signs. Okay, so little cheek, big cheek, cubed root of A is A, cubed root of 125 is 5, so ignore the signs when you're doing this, though you can take cube root of negatives. This is not unheard of. To keep the signs correct, we ignore the signs when we do this. So this first spot is this one squared. Okay, the second spot is multiply them together, and the third spot is the last one squared. And then we do the signs. So the sign is negative to start. So it's same, change the sign, opposite, always positive. Done. As long as you can figure out what the cubed root is, these are pretty nice. So let's do it again. Little cheek, big cheek. Take the cubed root of each one of those. Cubed root of x is x. Cubed root of y, x cubed is what? X. Cubed root of y cubed is y. Take this one and square it. Multiply them together. Take the last one and square it. It's positive, so it's positive here, minus, plus. Same, opposite, always positive. SOAP. And then finally here, you get a little, just do a little fancy one. When you're doing the cubed root, you can do each of them separately, but they are put together. So the cubed root of 125x cubed would be 5x. And the cube root of negative 27y is 3y cubed, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Okay? Square this guy, 25x squared. Square the whole thing, not just the x or whatever. Multiply them together, so that's 15xy. And then square the last one, 9y squared. Same, opposite, always positive. Have a good day. Three.